the things I was really excited about today was having some of our expert Airtronics team guys. The Colonel, one of my favorites. Now, I'm not supposed to play favorites because we're all friends, but at the same token, you got to love the Colonel. He's been flying jets for as long as I've been alive. He's been flying full scale for much, much longer. If you get a chance to talk to him today over in the display area, be sure to. If you have any interest in aviation at all, the Colonel's probably got a great story for you. So, how long have you been flying Airtronics?
I've been flying Airtronics about 30 years.
About like that.
This is better?
Yeah,
okay, fine.
there you go. Sorry.
I've been flying Airtronics since Airtronics is Airtronics.
So just a year or two?
Just about 31, 32 years.
And so now you're flying the SD-10G, right?
Yes, and it's a very fine 2.4 piece of equipment, very sophisticated. And I must say that it's a little bit better and easier to set up than some of my other radios I've played with.
Well, that's the idea, right? The SD-10G was supposed to be easier than the Stylus, right?
And it is. Yeah. Oh yes, much easier to set up.
The Colonel's brought me a nice picture, and tell me what we have here.
Well, many, many years ago in 1947, I was in the flight test division at Wright-Patt, and we had a twin Mustang there that we were testing, and the Air Force was kind of quiet in 1947, and they said, Thacker, you take that F-82 and do something with it. So we thought about it, we could fly it maybe from Tokyo to New York, and that was just a little bit too much for the airplane for. We decided to go from Hawaii to New York. And John Hard and I flew the airplane with 4 310-gallon drop tanks and 60 gallons in the gun bay. However, we had a little problem after we got off in Hawaii. One of the drop tanks would not really, well, I tried about halfway to San Francisco. Incidentally, the flight was made non-stop. But I tried to release the 2 external tanks that were empty, and they wouldn't go. Only one came off. And they were put on so tightly that the little electronic fuse would not release the hanger. So we had to fly all the way to New York with 3 of those tanks hanging underneath, which reduced our speed a little. Actually, this is just a little picture to give to Mike when we did that flight in appreciation for the great electronics equipment that I've been flying ever since I retired in 1970. So Mike, I hope you enjoy the picture.
I will enjoy it, thank you. I wanted to talk a little bit about your YF-22. The Colonel in the hobby industry, for those of you who don't know, is one of the, I don't know, forerunners of jet flight. We got a couple of them here today. But the Colonel's been flying jets forever. How old's this airplane?
Mike, you are much too kind to me. Actually, this aircraft was built 21 years ago as a ducted fan, which is a little fan with a little engine, and it was producing 8 pounds of thrust. What a dog. It was a real dog. So I hung the thing up in the garage, and along about 15 or 20 years ago, somebody started developing turbines out of Cummins Diesel's supercharger. So I took a look at this thing sitting up there 21 years ago, and the real airplane is just now coming into the inventory. Can you believe that? In fact, I was flying the model before the thing was actually accepted as a project for the U.S. Air Force. So I said, why don't I put a turbine in this thing? Now, with the old airplane hanging in the garage, in the ceiling, it was 14 pounds of thrust dry. I mean, 14 pounds dry, not a thrust now. I was getting 8 pounds of thrust in those days. So I put a turbine in it. It cost me 3 more pounds of static weight, but I tripled the thrust to 24 pounds. So if you don't think this thing is excitable when you fly it, you're going to be greatly mistaken.
And
this
the
thing
wings
is
stay
a
on
wildman. I made no change to the flight control system. I made no change to the gear. I made no change at all. The only thing I did was put a turbine in this thing, and it's a wild man. In fact, top RPM for this Jet Cat is 123,000 RPM. I've backed it off to 120,000 electronically to try and reduce some. Of course, you can always pull the throttle back, but nevertheless, when you punch it on the ground, it really scatters. In fact, I haven't flown it since I backed off the RPM on max, but you fly it at about a third throttle now. So it is a little unique. It's 21 years old, and the real airplane is just now coming into the inventory.
And you're flying this with the SD-10?
Oh, I fly all my stuff with the SC-10.
There you go.
I know what's going on, Michael.
Yes, you do.
Well, I fly my gliders and everything else I have. If my car would run on it, I'd use it in my car.
You know, one of the things that shocked me about the Colonel is I've always known him for flying jets. So he shows up, I don't know, when I first met him a few years ago, and his back trunk is full of gliders because he's going to Visalia, which is the big glider event. And he says, yep, I'm going to go fly gliders now. The Colonel pretty much does everything. And, you know, it's exciting to see our members flying as long as they have. And I appreciate everything you do. Thanks for coming.
Well, the pleasure's mine, and I'm having a good time with the party.
All right.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.